Although episode 4 focused on Gangle, we still learned a lot about Jax as well through his reactions to the new situation and the adventure as a whole. This episode revealed a side of Jax's personality that we hadn't seen before, and in this context, Gooseworks' statement on Tumblr describing Jax as a troubled individual made perfect sense. Jax seemed broken in episode 4, and in this video I'm going to explain why. The first thing that I noticed while watching the episode was the first scene right after Jax broke Gangle's mask. He said that he didn't mean to do that. And usually he does mean to hurt the other characters, and especially Gangle. But here we could actually hear him being sincere. But this was only for a moment at the beginning, cause after that we could still see him acting like how he usually does. Like in this scene where he teased Pomni about the unicorn horn. However, this was more of an Easter egg, something that's a recurring gag for Gooseworks. But here, where Kane read his idea for an adventure.
How about an adventure where Zubul gets turned into a piñata and we all take turns beating them up?
And Zubul said what everyone thought.
That one's mine. Who would have guessed?
So we already have expectations about Jax's actions and how he is towards the others. So that's why his behavior in episode 4 was kinda surprising. I mean, it was no surprise that the fast food adventure was not something that was in Jax's favor. But I think what really made the difference here is the fact that Gangle called Kane after Jax dropped Ragatha in the deep fryer and said that the circus members should get punished if they don't act the right way. And if you look at Jax's face, we can see that this surprised him. Because as we know, the characters can die in the circus, at least not in a traditional way. So they can almost do anything they want without real physical consequences. But the circus members do feel physical pain, as we saw when Zubul burned their hand. So I have no idea how Ragatha could stay in the burning hot deep fryer for 53 seconds, but anyway, I think this was something that Jax didn't consider so far. That even though their actions don't have real physical consequences, there's still the emotional side. And Jax's expression is really interesting here. Maybe this is really the first time he realizes that they can be punished for their actions if Kane decides. Or maybe it's also possible that Jax has some sort of trauma from his past, to which he was now reminded. Either way, this and Gangle's decisive action basically left him speechless. But the next interesting scene is this one, where Jax says he doesn't like orbsmen, to which Gangle says to him,
Never say you hate the customer while the customer is still here. Will we wait until after hours for that?
And here again we can see that Jax is taken aback by Gangle acting so differently towards him. Because normally she would never disagree or talk back to him, which is why he often dominates her, but here he can't even say anything to Gangle, he is so surprised. The second he is not feeling as comfortable as he usually does, which is when he is in control of the situation, Jax just seems powerless. But in this next scene we can see that he tries to talk to Zubul, just like at the end of episode 3 when he was trying to talk to Pomni about Kinger and how he is crazy. Now he most likely wanted Zubul on his side so he could validate his feelings and rebellion against Gangle. After all, this is the second time we see Jax seeking validation, which could mean that even though he acts mean towards everyone, he's still insecure about his own actions or feelings, and it's important to him what the others think. And this is kind of complicated because he does have a careless attitude, and his name tag also says I don't care. But I think that deep down he really cares about everything going on in the circus and its members, and especially himself. However, he's so out of touch with his emotions that they scare him, and that's why he doesn't want to either show them or experience them fully. But this next scene also supports this argument, because just listen to what he says here.
Nobody can see this, right?
And this is also interesting, that this is the thing that Jax is worried about, whether the others can see him in a vulnerable situation like this. It really tells a lot about his true personality. Jax is intimidated by his own feelings and weaknesses, so probably that's why after his training, when he goes back to the others, we can see him getting angry. It seems like Jax takes out his frustrations on the others, and while this worked for him for a while, ignoring how his cruel actions affect them, now it seems like he has realized that the others are just as broken as he is. And from here, we can see that he is not even trying to be mean, he just seems tired. And it's not just because of the long shift. He seems exhausted from the time he has spent in the circus and from constantly running away from his own thoughts and feelings. And while we didn't see him fully experiencing those emotions, we did get a glimpse of a more humane side of him. Like here, he doesn't have anything sarcastic or mean thing to say to Ragatha, even after she tells him,
I hate you.
But I don't want you to hate me. Is that weird?
And while many people thought that Ragata's flirting with Jax in this scene, I don't think that's the case. I believe that it's more about Ragata's personality, as she's a people pleaser. And like Jax, it's also important to her what others think of her, but maybe in a different way. While Ragata tries to show her good side, where she's always positive and kind to everyone, Jax wants people to think of him as a jerk, so that way no one gets too close to him, and so he can protect himself from possibly getting hurt or overwhelmed by emotions. But this next scene is one of the most important ones in the whole episode, and we can see that Jax's plan where he wants to seem like a jerk really works, because even though he asked a genuine question from Pomni, she still didn't trust him, and she didn't answer him truthfully. Moreover, when he said that he's not doing fine, Pomni probably didn't know how to react. I think she found Jax's behavior a bit suspicious, because Pomni definitely didn't see Jax like this until now. But this is interesting that Jax sort of opened up to Pomni, and it makes me really excited for his episode, which is gonna be episode 6, where maybe he will again try to open up a bit to Pomni about what on earth is going on inside of his mind. But as for why he chose Pomni out of all the circus members to be honest with, I'm thinking that probably because Pomni is the newest member, and while Jax may already have a solid reputation with the others, with Pomni he might have a chance to find an ally. But this next scene is when Jax's shift ends, and we can see him walking out with a smile and his usual attitude, but once he's out the door, we can see his real self. And interestingly, the two scenes in which we saw Jax alone, he looked miserable in both of them. Like here in episode 2 when he was sitting alone, and in the new episode where he literally broke down in his car. And this makes me think about how Jax probably has a hard time keeping up this false image of him in front of the others. So I would love to see him in the next episode when he's all alone in his room or something, and we can see how he really is. But based on these scenes, I think he struggles just as much as the others, even despite him not showing it usually. And I'm not gonna lie, I found it quite hard not to sympathize with Jax in this episode, even though I know that he will not change. And even if we see him in vulnerable moments like in this episode, Jax will probably not learn from these, and he won't try to overcome his traumas. Because after all, Gooseworks did say that Jax deserves to be in the circus the most, and that he's a pathetic loser, and how everybody hates him out of the current circus members, so they probably have a good reason for that. What I do hope though is that we'll learn about Jax's past and how he was when he spawned in the circus, which we know was probably a long time ago, because he was the third one to join the circus out of its current members, so maybe it's also possible that Ragata or Kinger will be the ones to think back about the time Jax joined the game and they will tell his story. And I would especially love to see more Ragata and Jax content, because their dynamic seems interesting, not only based on the kitchen scene, but also at the beginning of the episode where Ragata argued with Jax. This also happened in episode 3, so maybe Ragata has always been the one trying to guide Jax onto a better path. But let me know what you think about Jax's behavior in episode 4. Do you think he was acting nicer this time because he let his guard down? Or maybe there is some hope that deep down he is not that bad that Gooseworks says? But let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.